Welcome back to Sahara TV. My name is Rodolfo Okonkwo. This is your Skype call segment. This is when we give you the chance to give us feedback on what we've been showing you today. I hope you've been enjoying our program. But before we do that, we have a special guest here with me in the studio. We have the publisher of Sahara Reporters, Omoyele Sowore, who just came back from Nigeria. So we want to talk to him and see what he found out in Nigeria. Sowore, welcome to Sahara TV.
Thank you, brother.
So, you went to Nigeria and you spent 10 days. Where were you in Nigeria? Where did you go?
I was in Lagos. I was in part of London. I went to Abuja.
Abuja?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what did you see? What happened? What did you see in Abuja?
Well, one of the things that took me to Abuja was that I actually wanted to go to the site of the bombing. And we eventually couldn't make it there because there's huge traffic. And so I ended up coming back without seeing the site, of course, only to get here and find out there was another bombing. And just to have a general feel of Abuja. But traveling there just made me understand that I completely understood why people live in Abuja live in a different world and a bubble from the rest of Nigeria. It's a different reality. Yes.
No, they always say that there are two countries in Nigeria, Abuja and the other one.
Well, probably more than two. There are parts of Lagos that's like Abuja as well, where the rich people live. You probably read the New York Times story about the 1% that controls almost 99% of resources and what they do with it. So that's the reality of Nigeria. But, this is actually my third time in Nigeria since January. And it's just, I want to go there and see more and more how our kind of media can become the real media on the ground. Yes.
Now, before we go back to what you saw, let's talk about the situation today in Nigeria, and you link it to what you saw. We just interviewed Senator Zena, who basically said that the military, they are afraid of going after Boko Haram members.
Yes.
And you find the people in government all running around trying to show that they are doing something. After this campaign to bring back our girls, the social media campaign became a big issue. So do you think that the social media is having the kind of impact that people have been hoping for in Nigeria, among the elite?
Well, there's a part of it that is also overrated. I think they're responding to it because there's also mainstream international media involved. For example, when I was in Abuja, the girls had been kidnapped. There had been the bombing of that bus station. And there was no sign in Abuja that anybody cared about the abductions of the girls. So, but now when you have CNN and celebrities getting involved, of course, it's going to make the Nigerian government sit up. But I think most importantly was because they want to do this thing they call the
World Economic Forum.
Yeah, the Abuja Davos. So they need everything they can to assure the world that, we're doing something to find these people, meanwhile come to Abuja. And I think after the World Economic Forum, we'll be back to our reality. Yes.
Okay, let's look at your trip in Nigeria. So apart from Abuja, you were in other parts of the country. Where were you and what did you see?
I don't like to disclose completely everywhere I go because I keep going back. I was in mostly Abuja and Lagos and, parts of Ondo State where I'm from. Those were the places I went to. And then, I just can't believe, because I read a lot of propaganda on Facebook about how, for example, the regime had fixed the Ore Benin Road, and I saw a completely different situation, like the roads are very, very bad. It was raining the day I was going from Lagos to Benin, and, like the potholes, so it was just like staring the vehicles in the face. So it marvels. It's just amazing every time. I won't say amazing, but it's very sad each time I go to Nigeria to feel like, the place runs on its own.
There was a video that you came back with of police officers who were taking bribes. Can you explain what happened there?
Well, that was my second trip, which was February.
Okay.
But we just now did it. Okay. I was coming from Akure to Lagos through Ibadan in the night, and there was huge traffic. And each time I see traffic in Nigeria, I just like to find out why there's traffic. You probably saw the video we did in in Onitsha. And we got to the point and found out there was a police that created the traffic. And the community and the road users had held the policemen to ransom. I found that amazing that here is Nigeria, where we thought there couldn't be any form of revolution, and there's a small community here holding the police to ransom. And I saw the police with what we call exercise book in Nigeria, signing this undertaking and casting out the terms and signing again. And so we approached them and said, what's the problem? Well, the community at that point had taken control of their communication, and they was like, yeah, we're making them sign an undertaking because they caused the traffic. And we went to the guy who was driving the tanker, and he said they just pointed a gun at him and he stopped, and the vehicle behind him rammed into him, and there was just a bunch of accidents. But it was amazing. We filmed how, I secretly filmed them. What we did was to create a decoy. I had another guy who had a big camera, and I asked him to put the camera in their face so that they'll be distracted while I use this camera on my chest to do my filming. And you could see in the video how they were saying, oh, don't film us, except you take permission from us. So I told them, I said, calm down, yeah, okay, don't film them, leave them alone. But it was just amazing to see how the community was able to achieve that. And I think it's a very novel community approach to fighting corruption, to get corrupt individuals to pay for the consequences of corruption right there on the spot. And they signed the undertaking, which we didn't show in the video, and handed it over the owner of the vehicles that were damaged in the process, and then we opened the road and left. Yes.
Now, there's a question I always ask people who come back from Nigeria. I want to know the states where you have the opposition in control and the states that the PDP government is in control. Do you notice any difference in terms of deliverance of services or anything?
No, and I said this in the last interview we had. There's hype, but I haven't been in. I mean, Lagos is controlled by the opposition, and I keep saying I don't see anything. I don't see any big deal about Lagos that warrant me thinking that, oh my God, the opposition guys are doing fantastic. But one thing you cannot rule out in Nigeria is that I think the desperation for change is so much that people will just take anything else but, what is at the center. And I take it that Abuja is controlled by the ruling party. Abuja actually, it looks different. It looks like, it's a real Nigerian city, but again, it's far removed from the Nigerian reality. Like if you were to go to Abuja, if you flew to Abuja directly from anywhere in the world, you're likely to feel that, things are not as bad as you hear. Yes.
Now, let's talk about social media. What is, people you meet and people who know you as a publisher of Sahara Reporters, what is their, how do they react to you?
Well, people just say, oh, that's a Sahara Reporters guy. It's very easy to find me if I'm in Lagos because I'm always, in the hole in the wall bukaterias where I go eat.
Mama Put,
yeah. So I meet a lot of people, interestingly, and sometimes in traffic, people just say, oh, Sahara, is that Sahara? And but I see a lot of, recognition and power of social media because it's become the main movement now in Nigeria for communication, empowerment, conversation, and some people feel they're king because they're on social media, Twitter, Facebook, and they're very quick to tell you, to see like, oh, do you know my Twitter handle? And I say, yeah, which one is that? And they'll tell you. And he's like, yeah, maybe I saw something from you before, but I'm not sure, yeah. Yeah.
Wow. I don't know if you have a minute because we have Skype callers who would like to talk to you. In 1 minute, we'll get them to ask you some questions, so maybe you can tell us. Yeah. I know you are busy, but just give us another 5 minutes. Well, let me ask you this question. So, in Nigeria today, we are hearing the story that Patience Jonathan is preparing to go into the bush to find the girls.
Which bush?
The bush in Maiduguri. Yeah. Is that a PR stunt? What is going on?
It's absolutely PR. There's no way the First Lady of Nigeria will go into Sambisa Forest, where the girls have been held, according to what we know. When the army would not go there, but everybody, there's a sense that let's just do some PR, So let's have you go to Shipwalk and meet with the parents. But that's nothing novel because the governor of the state had been there, the wife of the governor had been there, so there's nothing new about it. But the most important thing, as far as I'm concerned, is rescuing the girls and not more PR nonsense. Like, she's
now, what do you think about this Kema Chikwe's argument that we don't know if anybody is actually abducted, and we don't know how many there are? There are a lot of people who are beginning to push that conspiracy theory that all these things are made up, that they are not real.
No, I think what is happening, what's Kema Chikwe, all right, what Kema Chikwe was saying is the official position of the presidency, which the presidency is afraid to publicly state. They know that some abduction had taken place. They made a lot of mistakes. But their position inside of the power circle in Abuja is that this is done to embarrass President Jonathan. Because actually President Jonathan ought to have kicked off his re-election campaign. It is the abduction and the series of things happening in Nigeria with Boko Haram that has stopped him. So they're like they're inside very pissed off. Like, we need to be running this campaign by now, and this abduction won't let us do it. He went to dance in Kano, Azonto, next, and people condemned him. So that's their position. They believe that, at first they weren't sure. And secondly, they got the military to say, we freed them, and the military had to be forced to eat his words. But I think finally they've come to a position where they say, they did this to embarrass us and to prevent us from coming back to power, commencing the process of campaign. That's what Kema Chikwe inadvertently said. But when she was confronted with their reality, of course, she pulled back and said, no, I was misunderstood because they couldn't stand the fire. But I think President Jonathan and his people believe that this abduction was done to embarrass him and to prevent him from relaunching his election campaign. All right,
let's talk to our Skype callers and see if they have questions for you, and then we'll let you go and continue our show. In UK, let me see, we have Sobo Yemi. Yemi, welcome to Sahara TV.
Thank you very much for having me.
Okay, from Malaysia, we have Ibrahim. Ibrahim, welcome to Sahara TV.
Thank you.
And from Greece, we have Benjamin. Benjamin Amechi, welcome to Sahara TV.
Thank you. Good luck.
And from Abuja, we have Dayo. Dayo, welcome to Sahara TV. Are you there, Dayo? Okay, I think Dayo is not there. And then from Seattle, Washington, we have Kings. Welcome to Sahara TV.
Thank you for having me, Rudolph.
Okay, I have with me here Sowore. I don't know if you guys had his reports from Nigeria, and if you have any question you want to ask him, we'll use the first 5 minutes to talk to him, and then we'll go to our normal show. Yemi, in UK, you are first.
Maybe I should repeat the very first question I raised, the one I saw on my Facebook page.
Okay.
Which says that if Boko Haram declare public holiday in Nigeria tomorrow, and then the federal government says there is work tomorrow, which one will you prefer? Which one will you follow with the present situation of things now in Nigeria?
It depends on where you live. If they've already declared public holidays in a lot of parts of Borno State, Yobe, in parts of Adamawa State. Boko Haram controls at least 20 local governments in Borno State. I don't know if they have that, but most of the local government chairmen have either been killed or completely abdicated duties. So, and they can freely walk into any schools and abduct and close down schools. So, but I think there's still a lot of Nigeria where Boko Haram is not in control. That's definitely correct. And that's why I find it idiotic when people say sometimes that, oh, Boko Haram can't reach us. Nothing stops Boko Haram from striking anywhere in the heart of Nigeria. What I saw while I was traveling in Nigeria is that Nigeria has no security. And I said that before, and I'm repeating it again.
All right. Ibrahim in Malaysia, you have any question for Sowore here?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I just want to, that many people in this, what am I going to, in this, in media and something. So when we are saying something now, some people that are insulting, writing nonsense to people, because you see the kind of situation that is happening in Nigeria. I don't believe that there is any Boko Haram, because politics that are they just want to kill all the poor people because they are taking their children away from the Nigeria. Some of the senators, ministers, and some other people like that, rich men and this thing, they are taking their children to abroad. Why not that? You see what is happening in my state now. Before I'm hearing it in
What is your state first?
Nasarawa State.
Okay, go ahead.
So present now the thing is coming to Nasarawa because last year some what am I going to some tribe like that they are fighting, which is Igon, our this Minister of Information Labaramaku tribe. They kill almost 50 something policemen. Continue fighting with different tribes.
Okay, so what is your question for Sowore?
Question.
Yeah, you don't have to. I mean, you don't have to ask if you don't have any question. But let me say, maybe he's saying that he's talking about the media, how the media is approaching. From hearing what he's saying, he's suggesting that Boko Haram is really an invention of. There's that idea out there that it's an invention of the media. Some people are saying that it's the presidency that is using the Boko Haram thing to destabilize the Northeast. And what is yeah?
I mean, generally, I think it's a little bit of everything. It is. There's a group called Boko Haram, and they've over the years transformed and become more monstrous. You know, those people who say it's an invention are right to the extent that if we had any reliable government, we would have resolved this by now. So if they've continued, you know, you can understand that people would think, well, they let them be because they want to use this to destabilize the Northeast. For example, I heard people in Nigeria who saying Jonathan at least needs Boko Haram state not to vote in the next election because he's going to lose in at least 17 northern states. The northerners are united against him. And then you have the southwest. So if you combine 17 states in the north plus about 5 in the southwest, and he loses half of Imo, he loses half of Rivers State, and he's likely to lose a lot of votes in his home state, Bayelsa, then he's gone. So maybe it's not a bad idea to keep Boko Haram active by inaction. But I think there is, and I believe there is Boko Haram.
All right. Yeah. Let's go to Benjamin in Greece. Benjamin, any question for Sowore?
I do have a question. I want to really know, how do we believe in this government when we have constant explosion and insecurity to the people? Eventually, we had on Thursday the explosion from Abuja, which takes about at least 30 people dead and 66 people injured. And this is my question to them. And I want to know something again. I want to understand how and in what way did the government makes us understand that 2 girls were beaten by the snakes from Boko Haram's kidnappers?
Let me answer the last question. We spoke to, and I actually personally spoke to officials in Borno, and they said to us that none of those girls died of snake bites. So that was not true, according to Borno State officials. So the girls who are kidnapped are still alive with the Boko Haram kidnappers or abductors. But of course, you know, there's a lot of interest internationally, and you know, it's just like the missing Boeing plane in Malaysia. You know, every day you wake up when the issue was still on the front burner of the international media, somebody made up a story. You know, oh, they just found them, they fell in a farm. You know, people said that they were waving to fishermen in some river. And then, you know, eventually the whole world was made to believe that sitting somewhere in the bottom of the river, the sea, close to Perth. And now we have a different day. So there's a lot of interest in reporting about the abduction of the girls, but I don't have any information to that effect. And we try very much on Sahara Reporters to reach out to people on the ground, the parents. We reach out to security agencies. We reach out to soldiers on the forefront, and nobody seems to believe some of these things that we're hearing. I'm not saying that we are completely in a position to tell what is true and not true, but that's what we know.
Okay. Kins in Seattle, Washington, welcome to Sahara TV. Any question for Sowore?
Yes, I have 2 questions, but I don't know if Sowore will have the answers to the questions. The first question is, I don't know if you saw the video of Sheikh speaking English in front of an armored tank. I don't know if you saw that video.
No, I didn't. Did you see that?
No, I didn't say it, but I'm not
Okay, so
surprised. A lot of the Boko Haram people are very fluent in English.
Yeah, so there's a video of him speaking English in front of an armor tank. I think it's on Track channel on YouTube. And you know, my puzzle is, how did a full armor tank get into Nigeria? You know, it's just very funny, like how an armor tank can find its way into Nigeria in the hands of terrorists. And then the second question is about the abducted girls. You know, a month ago, we had like 30 girls abducted, and no one really talked about it. The government never really cared about it. And the only reason why this is bringing a lot of attention is because there have been a full international campaign about it. And if CNN, BBC, Al Jazeera did not hone in on this story, it will just be something that was swept under the carpet. So that's what I wanted to say.
Yes, the first one, I think we also wrote, we reported that some soldiers on the war front, we actually took out and put out the pictures, said to us that Boko Haram fighters were better equipped than the military, that they come around in APCs, armored personnel carriers. There's been rumors that they have helicopters. I won't be surprised. They're well equipped. But what is killing the fight against Boko Haram again is the fact that corruption has destroyed the Nigerian military. They spend an average of $6 billion every year to fight Boko Haram, but the big generals at the top are just pocketing the money, so they don't provide, you know, soldiers' welfare. They don't provide them with enough equipment. So several soldiers who've spoken to us who said, you know, each time these guys come around and pin them down, they don't even have any means of responding because their bosses are counting bullets and giving to them, and Boko Haram have like unlimited supply of bullets. And you have seen on Track's website or YouTube channel how Boko Haram guys went to a barrack and, you know, pinned down soldiers for several minutes and actually broke open a major prison in the place. So I'm not surprised, you know, that they have access to armor tanks. And they have continuously said that each time they raid army barracks, they are able to live with armor tanks, you know, and a lot of weapons. And the second aspect was the abducted girls. What was the question?
Okay.
Yeah, I forgot what you
Yeah,
said.
that's
All right. So we before we round up this segment, because I know you have to go. You guys on Skype, we stay there. We will continue with our Skype segment. But let me ask you this question. People ask, what did your sense of going to Nigeria and talking to people? Your sense about the opposition? Are they really? Do they have really any chance of unseating the president? And are they organized? What is the sense you got from talking to Nigerians?
My feeling about Nigeria is that if Jonathan gets defeated in the next election, it will be because ordinary people just aspire to have his nightmare of leadership be over. And anybody, including a Boy Scout platoon, could come and organize that kind of, you know, emotional rejection of his incompetence as president. So I think a lot of people, so the opposition is just riding on the back of this, you know, jet stream of like public discontent against the president. And that is why you see President Jonathan is also trying to play his own game. Like suddenly his wife wants to go to Chibok and he's going to address the nation tomorrow. And they're giving the impression that, yeah, you know, we too are competent and willing to do some things, but Nigerians are just sick and tired of the Jonathan presidency to the extent that whatever comes, it's not going to be seriously scrutinized. So anybody who could come up and say, look, you know, I can defeat this guy and I can give you a different direction in governance, I think people will just follow them. But it's difficult to say, going by what I saw in the opposition on the ground. I didn't really see any organized opposition. The opposition that is on the ground now is not different from the opposition that comes in every election cycle, and that's why I've always advocated for a third force. Yeah.
Now, one last thing. There are calls for foreign troops and foreign countries to come and help Nigeria. Atiku Abubakar made that call today or yesterday, and it's been going on, and even the Americans are offering to come and help. What is real? Are the Americans there? The British, are they already there, or what is going on? Because
I think the international, especially Americans and the British, are already on the ground. And you saw in Sokoto how the botched rescue. If those guys had been fully rescued, we wouldn't have never known that they were carried out by special forces from the UK. Somebody told me that in Abuja, you could be in a taxi cab and it's an American that's driving you around because they're interested. They don't want what Boko Haram is doing to happen on US soil, and what they do as a strategy, as a military strategy, is to nip it in the bud wherever this kind of thing. I know they're already on the ground. But, calling for full-scale, military intervention in a country like Nigeria is as good as saying, we should just go back to the colonial era. It's very sickening that we're still calling for, military intervention at this time. The Nigerian terrain is not the type where American soldiers can go and fight easily in Maiduguri. The place is very hot, and Americans don't really like hot weather. You
mean Rambo cannot operate there?
There's a difference between a movie and real life situation on the war front. I live in the north, and it doesn't look like a place where Americans can really help. But what they can do is, send in drones and things like that. But what Nigerians should understand is that, if they come, you have to be prepared to pay for it in the long run.
But seriously, the language of the American and the British government, it's been like as if they are opposed to the government policy towards the north. They recently said that they are blaming the government for the underdevelopment in the north. And Jonathan seemed to be responding by saying that poverty is not the problem of the country, that is distribution of wealth. So what is going on there? Are the international community turning against the president? It is
the distribution of wealth or not, or the lack of it that causes poverty. So that's why I don't know what Jonathan smokes every day. But what they're trying to do is to make this look as if, look, if these guys are misbehaving and running the country, we're not responsible. Because we're very used to blaming our colonial leaders for our problems. So they are distancing themselves. Look, even though the IMF is screwing you guys, we're not the cause. You should hold your leaders accountable. And that's fair, in my view, that, everybody should be made to. Look at the Jonathan regime. Within the last 3 years, stole, frittered away billions of dollars. From fuel subsidy alone, they stole 6.8 billion. And then, Sanusi left with a question hanging about 20 billion. That's $26 billion. That is the same amount that China used in building one of the longest, fastest trains in recent times. It's, probably about the same amount that transformed Dubai, where all of them go to spend their evenings. So you can understand. And the Americans and the British government know that the Nigerian elites are stealing, and they just want to make sure that they make it very clear that they are not part of spreading poverty.
All right, so we have to stop it here. When we come back, we will talk to our Skype callers on several other things. Sowore, thank you so much for stopping by.
Thank you.
All right.